Hello, everyone. I'm Nolan Myers, CEO of Double GDP, where we're building an end-to-end platform for cities to connect with residents and provide more efficient and responsive public services. As always, we're going to go through our sprint this week, this last 2 weeks, and talk through what we intended to do in the last sprint, the progress against those goals, and what we aim to do in the next sprint. So in the last sprint, we had 4 goals. We wanted to roll out do a joint marketing announcement with Nkwashi so that we were speaking more with one voice across our team and theirs and let their clients know about the faster, easier, and more secure gate access methods. Second was to onboard 2 new team members. Third was recruiting, especially around head of engineering. And fourth was preparing for the Charter Cities Conference in Johannesburg, Africa in 2 weeks. So thrilled to announce on recruiting, first and probably most important goal, recruiting and onboarding were definitely high priorities for this sprint. So we welcomed 2 new team members, Penny and Dennis, and you will get to meet Penny a little bit later today in her update video. And Dennis had a little technical difficulty uploading his video to YouTube, but we're helping to get him set up shortly, so you should meet him very soon. I'm also thrilled to announce that we have found a fantastic head of engineering who accepted our offer last week and will be joining us on Monday of next week. Nick Garcia has great experience in building enterprise-grade platforms and even working in government areas, and so we're very excited to welcome him to the team. On the aspect of bringing people on the team, I also wanted to take one note to talk a little bit about the onboarding process, because this was my first opportunity to think very deliberately about how to welcome new team members to Double GDP. And I decided to focus first on a meet and greet, and we just spent about an hour talking with each other about what brought us to Double GDP, what our personal motivations were, a little bit about our background and history and careers, and so that group could get to know everybody on the team already. In the second hour, we had to spread this over 3 days because of the time zone difference between San Francisco and Africa. And so in the second one, we spent another hour going through the overall company pitch, the vision and mission. And then we also talked a lot about the values, collaboration, results, efficiency, diversity of thought, and iteration and transparency. And just a lot about what those values meant, and just tried to make sure that those sort of were well understood and had created a shared opportunity for how we want to build and work together. And third, we went through communication best practices, and all of this is in our handbook, but I really wanted to take some time to talk through the ways that we interact with each other over email, WhatsApp, Slack, Asana, calendaring, all of the sort of practices that we have, because and the reason why I prioritize that is that I came to the conclusion that, if the job responsibilities and what we're working on today, that can evolve a lot, and people will help onboard themselves to that. But the foundation that I really want to be in terms of how we work together are personal relationships, what the vision of the company is, and the values that we share, and then how we relate to each other. So that was something I really enjoyed that process, and would love to hear thoughts on how well that went, and also ways to make it better, since we are going to be onboarding another person next week. On the customer side, we had really great strides in speaking with one voice this time, and you'll hear a lot more about this from Penny and Mutali as they talk through what's going on in the customer side. The marketing announcement went very well, and we by and large had good response when we heard back from clients. We still have a relatively low response rate, and we don't understand exactly why that is, whether there may be messages that are not going through, or if this is not a high priority for clients. And so there's a little bit of diagnosis that we still have left to do there. But overall, a lot of progress back enrolling clients, and also sharing questions back and forth with the Nkwashi team. This was the first time that we've been or the most integrated we've been yet with the Nkwashi staff, of sharing questions that we're hearing from clients and going and having them follow up directly with the clients. We did have one incident this week. There was a media event at the site, and had a backup there where a bunch of people showed up at once, and we were not expecting it, and it kind of slowed things down, and there was a bit of a backup. We're working with Nkwashi to have a little bit more advanced notice about these things in the future so that we can plan for them. But also, it triggered some ideas, some product innovation ideas that we can come back to shortly around pre-registering for events, and then having the guards have names and be able to give sort of a VIP welcome when we do know that a lot of people are going to show up at the same time. Got good adoption on the feedback feature. As you know, it's important for us to have a good feedback loop with clients and a way for them to sort of tell us about their experience directly in the app. Got about 13 comments there, or thumbs up, and all positive so far, which is nice to hear, but also would be nice to hear if there are more things that we can do to make it better. So far, we're hearing that directly through the customer success managers, and so no shortage of ideas there. We also instituted our first regular progress update to Nkwashi, and having a weekly sync with them to talk through any status things and stay coordinated around communications. A lot more around all that with Mutali and Penny, but I wanted to give some of the highlights here. On the product side, we've got several quick hits, mainly some easy features or obvious features that Nkwashi asked for, and we wanted to turn them around very quickly. We got our showroom that we had built a while ago deployed and operational, so clients are now checking into the showroom with that. The showroom kiosk, I think I meant to say. We added visiting hours to the app so that if you log in at the gate, you can now see the visiting hours directly under your ID. We have expiring access now so that you can have a temporary pass and only have access for about a day, or we can set it for a week. A new feature that I'm excited about, where we have a client list and a quick note, so that our customer success managers can be running through a list of clients, following up with them and taking a quick note about how the interaction went. On the conference, a lot of good work on the presentation. So thinking about the presentation, which was one of my high priorities for this last sprint, I decided I wanted to talk about how customer experience can power cities to be not only smarter, which I think is something that gets a lot of attention these days, but also more human. And think about some of the parallels with Silicon Valley innovation, and what lessons we can take from Silicon Valley in terms of building great cities. So a few themes that I decided to talk about. One is treating residents like customers, and just, we have a lot of best practices about how companies have really in-depth studies about how to treat customers to create great lifetime value from those customers, to have those customers give referrals. There's a lot there that companies know about how to build a great relationship with customers, and just bringing in some of those best practices and thinking about the ways that many companies do that and build great relationships is one aspect of the presentation. Another is investing in convenience and efficiency and user experience more generally, and thinking about how a resident or a client of a new city can come in and have everything at one place and have convenient and efficient access to any kind of services that they need. And finally, trying to draw parallels between how companies think about lifetime value and how through investing in these practices, and the ways that cities can think about lifetime value as building their economy. So doing these things right with their residents is going to actually attract more businesses and more great residents to the city, and think about how that can create innovative cycles within the cities and good feedback loops to grow the economies more quickly. So that's the work on the presentation, and excited to talk about that and refine it a little bit more in the next couple of weeks. Jay also will share a little bit more about partners. We did a little bit of exploration this week, especially around the marketing and sales acceleration. Thank you to Ahmed for a little bit of work again. Ahmed was our designer in getting the product up and running last year, and glad to see him participating again. The mock-ups there that Jay will share are quite beautiful. So thinking about the next sprint, I am a little behind in setting priorities for this sprint, but I know that one high priority for me is going to be onboarding Nick and thinking about the next round of recruiting. We want to build a great full-time team and do it quickly, and so figuring out what our next priorities are there and trying to get that going will be a high priority for me. Second, we want to finalize plans for an Africa trip. Definitely want to be out there shortly. We're watching the situation with the novel coronavirus very closely. Hopefully, we can be there in 2 weeks, but if not, we want to make a trip also very in the near future and figure out the right timing for that. Third, focusing more on speaking with one voice and creating better ties between our support team and the Nkwashi support team. And I think this will be one path that we might take here is thinking about notifications through the app, so it can actually proactively notify somebody when there's a message, and thinking more about the messaging side. The other could be tighter integration between our platform and other communication platforms like WhatsApp or SMS, so that interaction can be managed through our platform, and then have more people involved in that on the back end, and being able to monitor, not monitor, but be able to uh, understand what the customer needs and bring multiple people to bear to make sure that the customer is getting a great experience. Third or fourth, a little bit more focus on gate access. Want to flesh out the idea around pre-registration and VIP access. And finally, thinking about marketing and sales acceleration, taking some of the exploration that we did in the last sprint and thinking about how to bring some of those ideas into the application. That's it for this sprint. Excited to see you again in a couple of weeks.